You are listening to WCJV Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, New York.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. This show is brought to you by Audible.com. You go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. You sign up for free. You get yourself a free audiobook. Now, tonight we're live on CJMarsRadio.com, 365 Live, HazyRadio.com, and then, of course, tomorrow we'll be on PowerX Radio, 7 p.m., rebroadcast throughout the week, AwakeRadio.us, Shake and Wake, Firehorse Radio, WTRU Radio, and Sunday mornings, don't forget, we're on Penny Entertainment on blogtalk.com. We got a lot going on, a lot of big announcements, but I want to get to our guests right away. We're going to be doing a big show. We have author Al Norman, who's the author of Occupy Wal-Mart, Slam Dunking Wal-Mart, and The Case Against Wal-Mart. And there's a link to all these three books on my blog, The Opperman Report. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is Walmart. Okay, and Black Friday's coming up, and we're going to be talking about how much damage Walmart's doing to our economy and to small businesses and to the distribution of wealth away from you and me into the hands of 6 people who now possess 40% of this country's wealth, the Walton family. So our first half hour, we have Al Norman. Then after that, we're going to be bringing in a woman named Barbara Gertz, who actually works at Walmart. She's a Walmart employee. And she is with an organization representing Organization United for Respect, Our Walmart. So she's going to be coming on at about the half hour. But right now we have Al Norman. Al, you there?
I am, Ed. Good evening.
Brother, thank you so much for coming on at short notice. Everyone should know that Al Norman is considered like the godfather of fighting Walmart. He's been doing it for 20 years before anybody even knew that Walmart was a problem. So, Al, why don't you tell us about yourself and your background and a little bit about your books, and then we'll get into the whole topic tonight.
Yeah, sure. Well, I got involved in fighting Walmarts because they backed into my town. They came very quietly, wanted to locate a 165,000 square foot store on the edge of my community of Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is a town of about 17,000 people. And a friend of mine who was on the town council asked me to get involved in trying to stop them. And she said, "Are you willing to work on a campaign against Walmart?" And I said, "What's that?" I had, folks in New England in 1993 had never heard of Walmart. It was just a sort of a southern Midwest kind of out of the Ozarks corporation, and we had other retailers in New England. Most of them are gone now, by the way, killed off by Walmart. But we had a lot of regional chain stores that died when they started getting more prolific in New England. But communities, states like Massachusetts and the other Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont, they all created new obstacles for Walmart. They were not a popular company when they came in, but I was asked to run a campaign to overturn a vote of our town council to rezone some land that allowed this store to happen. We went to the ballot. We won. And Walmart, I think, was caught off guard. They never expected. This is one of the first major incidents of a Walmart losing at the ballot box. And it became a national news story, and my phone started to ring. And so I started a group called Sprawl Busters, which was really a clearinghouse. And 21 years later, I'm still doing it. And I must say that when I first began, I had to educate myself quickly to find out what this corporation was, because I only had about 9 weeks to try to beat them. And the more I learned, the less I liked.
The first thing, because I'm from the East Coast too, I'm from New York City, Staten Island. We didn't have Walmart there either growing up,
Right.
But the first thing that I heard about Walmart that struck me as, to say the least, odd, is the story about how they would get key man life insurance policies on their employees. Do you know that story?
Oh yeah, you talking about the death benefits deal?
Yeah.
They call it dead peasants insurance. They would basically create an insurance policy for the employee, but when the family looked into it, it turns out that the beneficiary on the death time of death was the company. It was appalling. I mean, it was just kind of like the commoditization of workers, benefiting from their death. I mean, what could be more crass? But this is actually symptomatic of what this company does. They are from top to bottom an example of what the French writer Balzac once said, that behind every great fortune is a crime. I mean, this company, people know that Walmart is a chain store, but to me, as I learned more about them, I started to realize that they're a chain of exploitation. And at every link in the chain, someone is being exploited, from the sweatshops in China to the sales floors in America. That's the business model. That's how they make money, by exploiting their workers, by exploiting their vendors, by exploiting their haulers, by exploiting the people in their warehouses. It just goes on. And all the riches rise to the top. And as you said at the top of the show, the Walton family has become obscenely rich. They're the poster child for the 1% movement. And the public is understanding that now. They're getting it. They're realizing that this is a company that was built on people's misery. So I personally have never bought anything at a Walmart in the past 21 years, and I don't understand how people can keep shopping there. But they are sort of like the perfect example of what the New York Times once called wayward capitalism. They're out of control.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, the fact is, now 6 members of the Walton family right now, these 6 heirs that have never worked a day in their life, today have 40% of this country's wealth. Now, what was it 20 years ago when you first started getting into this?
Oh, they, by the time I was involved in the 90s, and keep in mind, this is a company that started in '62, the same year that Target did. By the early 90s, they were already, multi-billionaires, and the difference was that nobody was paying any attention to it. And the economy, has been on a race to the bottom, since that time. They started in the late 90s, they started building these things called supercenters, and they moved, the major difference between that new model and what they had in discount stores up until then is they started selling groceries. And I can remember, a period of time when grocery stores, the big stores, were telling me, no problem, they'll never be able to get groceries right. They're not going to be a threat. Now they control probably at least 30% or more of the grocery sales in America, and have as much in grocery sales as their next 4 competitors. Kroger, I think, is number 2. So it's been a massive sea change in where groceries are sold, to the detriment of every little small town in America that has a Walmart nearby. And now they're getting into smaller stores. The so-called neighborhood market at 40,000 square feet, the express stores at 15,000 square feet. They're trying to do some competition with the dollar stores. They're getting beaten badly by Amazon in online shopping. They're scrambling around trying to regain their balance. They've had lousy, what they say in the industry is same-store sales, those stores that have been open for a year or longer. The sales in this country are not good. Their growth is more at this point in their international market in places like China. But in this country, I think that a lot of consumers are now realizing that actually Walmart has not been good for America and has left us with sort of an army of low-wage workers who don't necessarily last long at Walmart. There's no career there for them. Their wage benefits get stuck. Their health insurance is so bad they go on Medicaid at our expense as taxpayers. I mean, the litany goes on and on about why it's not a good place to try to make a living. Probably one of the most telling things is that the average wage there, according to people outside the company, because you can't really go by what Walmart tells you in their unaudited figures, but the average wage is around $8.81 an hour, and if you multiply that by 32 hours a week, you're going to come up with a salary below $15,000. And a family of 2, the poverty level in this country is $15,730. So these workers are either slightly under or at the federal poverty level, 1.6 million of them. So no wonder people are miserable working there.
Right. So now, how much does the government subsidize every year, like in food stamps and Medicare and like all that stuff like you were saying there?
Well, food stamps, the so-called SNAP program, supplemental nutrition, that's a huge transfer of income from the government to Walmart because an enormous amount of their shopper and worker base are reliant on SNAP benefits to pay for their nutritional needs. So when SNAP benefits are cut or when people aren't using them as much, Walmart feels the pinch of that, and they've said it publicly that where our receipts for this quarter were not as good because we didn't have as many SNAP sales. But the subsidies are enormous. I mean, in my state of Massachusetts, for example, Walmart employees use about $9 million worth of Medicaid benefits for their health insurance. They're the number one employer with employees, and it's not at all unusual for Walmart to come into a community and basically ask for a tax write-off, a welfare benefit. In fact, I think Congressman Bernie Sanders refers to Walmart as the biggest welfare recipient in America today. They get money to build their roads, to build their sewer system. Cities and towns will pay for this. Give them taxpayers' money. They could have gone into the schools or police or fire, and instead they put it into Walmart to literally pave the road to their front door because Walmart says if you don't do that, we'll find some other community that will. So it's a form of corporate welfare, and ironically, the ultimate beneficiary is this enormously wealthy family of multi-billionaires.
And it sort of turns into almost like a plantation because the employees, the workers there, they get their paycheck, they spend it right.
They buy their goods at the company store.
Yeah.
I've actually made that analogy a number of times about Walmart as the modern plantation. Obviously, workers don't like that because it just sounds like back in the 1860s. But
it sounds like what it is.
Yeah, it is a form of plantation and plantation labor, and Walmart once described their employees as a cost center, like heat or electricity. So this is how they think of their people, as a cost center. And for example, if a store manager reports that his sales are dropping, they'll cut their workers' hours to match a ratio that they have of how much is coming in versus how much going out in labor costs. So these workers have no job security at all from week to week. They don't know what their schedule is going to be. One of the complaints that you'll probably hear from Barbara when she speaks is that not only are the workers after $15 an hour, the part of the Fight for 15 labor movement across the country, but they're also saying, we need to have schedules that are dependable and reliable, so that if we have to, we can get a second job that's predictable and not have to wonder, well, am I going to be able to take a second job this week because my hours are going to change? One of the things that Walmart recently instituted was if there's an empty shift, they'll post it and people can go after it, and they call that a major improvement. But the fact is that it is still an unreliable source of income. You never know what you're going to get for the following week, and as a result, you can't fill in that first job with a second job, which is unfortunate enough, but you can't even do that because Walmart will pull your hours. We've had warehouse workers say, I show up at the warehouse, because these warehouse workers, they don't even work for Walmart. They work for a temp agency. So these people that are loading trucks and getting them out on the road, they work for some temp agency, and they'll show up at the warehouse and they say, we don't need you today. I mean, again, this is how you make an enormous fortune, is that you take it out on the backs of your own employees. And they even do things like what they call time shaving. Well, they'll just take a minute off of everybody's hourly minutes for the day. Yeah. And if you shave a minute or two off of 1.6 million workers, you got a lot of money that you've saved. So by basically taking money from their people and giving them an inadequate job with lousy benefits, they can afford to give you and me those everyday low prices that supposedly is so attractive to people who have no moral conscience. People who love Walmart, I say their sense of community is no bigger than the dimensions of their shopping cart. And that's a sad statement, but that's what I've seen over and over again in city after city where people will stand up and say, I need cheap underwear.
Yeah, but people have to be educated, because
I agree.
The average person doesn't understand. Like the average person, Friday coming up, wants that cheap TV set,
Yep.
But before we get into that, though, what would you say to that person, though, that says to you, okay, Al, I need a cheap TV. I want to buy presents for my wife and my kids, okay, and Walmart has a cheap deal. What do you say?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is, why don't you skip Walmart as the middle person and just deliver that product to the dump? Because the stuff that you're buying at this cheap price, your mom and my mom used to say, you get what you pay for. When I was growing up, my folks knew that if you bought a product that was way below price, there was something that was suspicious about it. It wasn't like, if you think it's a better deal than is possible, it probably isn't possible. So you're buying, first of all, inferior products. Sometimes they're branded in the way you think is the same as the identical product that's being sold at a higher end store, but the components are cheap. Instead of metal, they're plastic. And for example, with jeans, all you have to do is go to any Walmart and pick out a good pair of jeans, like a pair of Lee jeans or some of the other brand name jeans, and then compare them to Walmart's brand, and pick them up and feel the difference in the weave and the heft. You're dealing with an inferior product that is it's going to have half the life of a decent pair of jeans, but you can buy an $18 pair of jeans at Walmart today. I think the Old Glory brand jeans, and I guarantee you they're going to be in the landfill in half the time as if you bought a decent pair of jeans. So that's just an example. So I tell them, first of all, you're buying inferior products. Don't think you're getting some kind of great deal. It'd be better for you in the long run to buy something that had value and will last longer in terms of return on your investment. The second thing is I tell them, if you go into that store and you look through their clothes and you think the people that made this clothes are some of the women that died in Bangladesh when the factory collapsed on them, I tell them, you may not smell the blood on these clothes, but they're there. I mean, these are clothes that were procured by workers who were paid a terrible wage and risked their life to bring, this shirt to you. Do you really want to buy from a store like that? So I ultimately leave it up to people. Again, if their only consideration is I would buy cheap stuff from the devil if I had to, then you're not going to convince them not to shop there. If they have any sense of moral or economic justice, they'll say this company is a bad outfit, they're a bad actor, and I can find what I need someplace else. I can go someplace else that treats its people better.
Now, what about the myth that their prices are cheaper than everywhere else?
Well, they're not. I mean, any market basket studies that have been done often put Walmart somewhere in the middle. It's sometimes not as advantageous to end up towards the lower end. I mean, there are lots of competitors out there. Walmart knows it. You've got people. That's why people are spending so much money with online shopping, because they can frequently get what they want online cheaper than they can get it at a Walmart. But you've also got for example, Walmart has tremendous difficulty with this German retailer named Aldi, which it's basically a discount grocery store. And they love to locate right next to Walmart because their prices are better. You got a lot of people being siphoned off by the dollar stores because people don't want to spend an hour and a half trying to find products in a huge Walmart, which is why they're turning away from superstores. But there is no such thing as a uniform across the board cheaper price at any store. You got to shop around. You got to do a lot of work. For people who are trying to pinch pennies, they have probably learned that they can't rely on those cheap prices being always at Walmart. And Walmart is having stocking problems now. So you go to this store and you find that a lot of products aren't even there because they don't want to pay for enough hours to have their shelves properly stocked.
Now, what about the people who say, "Hey, Al, if we pay these Walmart employees," and they have an attitude, if we pay these greedy Walmart employees $15 an hour, that they're just going to raise the prices anyway. No, all our prices are going to be higher. What do you say to that?
Well, there have been studies that show you could pay the workers a decent wage I'm not sure it was $15. I think it might have been somewhere in between where they are now. But you could give them like a $5 raise, and the cost per shopping trip would be pennies more. Pennies. So it's not really, and that's not without even touching the profitability that's happening at the top. The other study that was done was that Walmart could finance a significant raise for its workers without really reducing its profit, because workers who are paid more perform better, make the customers happier, which brings the customers back more. If you go into a store where the customers are seeing workers who are clearly disgruntled and unhappy, you're hearing in the news tonight sit-ins and demonstrations, Black Friday. I mean, there's obviously a lot of unhappy workers inside that store, and that makes the customers on edge. I mean, when they know that things inside this store are not comfortable and right, there's a difference there between going to a store where the people greet you and they're happy to see you and they give you good customer service because they're being paid a wage that makes them feel proud of what they do rather than ashamed to be working on a plantation.
What do you think of like an employee-owned store like Winco?
Well, I think employee ownership is much better in terms of economic equality than the kind of management, slash and burn management that you see. I mean, Walmart, as you know, is rabidly anti-organized labor. I don't even use the word union because people have such a strange reaction to that word. But if you think about management being organized and holding all the cards, organized workers are a way for the workers to balance out the control that management has. So if organized workers have more power, at the workplace, they're able to, get better wages, better benefits, the kind of things that you would want for your family members if they were working at a place like that. And that's why they've reached the boiling point. And I think it's really hilarious that Walmart recently announced that they were going to cancel Black Friday sales and instead spread it out all week. Well, why did they do that? Because they know that on the real Black Friday, there's going to be major disruption at their stores, and so they didn't want to pin all of their sales hope on that one day and all these workers walking out. So instead they said, no, we're going to have Black Friday all week, and isn't that cute? So they're very nervous about what our Walmart is doing because these are their own people. They can't point the finger and say this is somebody outside agitating. These are their own people who, of their own free will, are threatening to strike or walk out and cause them problems on that heavy shopping day. So, I think that Walmart has a big problem on their hands, and it's largely an image problem as well.
Well, how is it that they get away with all this? How do they get these tax write-offs, these subsidies? How can they pull this off every year?
You've got, at the local level, at the city and town level, you've got a lot of communities where the local officials are as benighted as the public. They just don't have a clue what's going on, and they think that Walmart means economic development. They don't understand that it's a form of economic displacement. I mean, studies have shown that if for every one job that Walmart creates, you can lose 2 jobs elsewhere. I've had to explain this many times at local forums, before planning boards, before other municipal officials, that this is not like I move to your town and I make computer capacitors, and there's nobody else in town that makes computer capacitors. So my company is not taking away from somebody else. But if you locate a grocery store in a small trade area, all you're doing is taking what they call captured sales. You're transferring sales from one register of a store that's already open to your register, and that is not economic development. That's a net loss in employment and in sales. And to me, it seems like a very obvious, when you see these empty stores, when you see these chains that have folded, and we're talking about electronic stores, bookstores, I'm talking about national chains. When you look at New England and you see that all the retail chain stores that were regional are gone, you know that there's been a tremendous lateral movement of money from point A to point B. That's hard to describe as progress. I mean, some people, the capitalists will call it creative destructionism, a theory from about 100 years ago that by destroying things you help recreate them and build them. But if you're a worker who's lost their job and your only choice is to walk across the street and work at Walmart, you know that you haven't gained anything.
Right, because if you have 2 florists in town and 2 bakeries in town, and then Walmart comes in and they have a bakery and a florist in there, even if you just lose one of the competing bakeries and florists, those 2 businesses, that employ people and stuff like that, they don't have the money to hire $1 million accounting firms to save on their taxes and get away with all the stuff that Walmart can get away with. Plus they need to hire, a delivery men and accountants and lawyers and stuff like that. So those small businesses create jobs and create a good economy for the community.
Well, people understand the concept of economies of scale, that when Walmart reached a certain mass, they were able to say to their vendors, I want a China price for this product. And the company, whatever their price was, they had to match what Walmart could get for that product from China. And of course, many companies couldn't because they were paying their workers more. They were using good materials. So a lot of and again, I'll go back to talk about Levi's. Levi's jeans used to be made and stitched in America. They're not anymore. So when you lose your manufacturing base, now Walmart has been, laid blame for, I think, in the early 2000 period that there was a 5-year period where Walmart was responsible for at least $300,000 jobs lost through offshore manufacturing. So they've shipped the manufacturing to China, and they've returned for us with just these cheap entry-level jobs that the workers are now revolting from, and they're dead-end jobs. They have no career path. Once you reach your top dollar level at Walmart, you get no more raises. So that's why people bail and they get out and they get angry. But the balance of trade with China has been greatly worsened by Walmart. So you look at, here's a company that offshores jobs, creates a massive army of poorly paid people, relies on public welfare to survive, and you realize that this is not, in its best sense, economic development. It's a form of what George Bush the first used to call voodoo economics, and people are finally beginning to understand this.
Right, it's predatory, and it's the enemy of you and me. So now, what hope do we have of combating this and putting a stop to this? This is a cancer that needs to be removed.
Well, yes, and it metastasized to the point where it really is critical that people, think about other places to shop and support these workers who are trying to get a decent living there. I basically tell people that I'm an individual who has not shopped in Walmart since they opened in 1962. I'm perfectly happy American. I don't need them. I don't patronize them. And I would recommend to people that they look for their goods to be American-made and try to shop locally. It's a better, all the studies that I've looked at suggest clearly that the local business that you invest in recycles more of its money locally than the large chain store, which pulls money out of the economy and leaves it with what Ross Perot called a giant sucking sound. So it's like a vacuum cleaning dollars out of your community. If you know all of that, then why would you want to continue to support a store that's hurting your economy? I refuse to do it, and I tell other people, do the homework, read about them online, read the stories, and then decide whether this is the right place for you to be spending your money. Do you really want to invest in the Walton family? Don't they have enough? Isn't it time to start putting your money into a store that's a better investment for where you live?
Right, and we need to support our guest here, the author Al Norman, the author of Occupy Walmart, Slam Dunking Walmart, and The Case Against Walmart. And all those links are on my blog, the Opperman Report. Now, Al, we only got a couple of minutes left. And you have another a website called, what's it called?
The website is sprawl-busters.com, SPRAWL-busters.com. And it has over 4,000 stories since 1998 of Walmart's battles across the country. It's the largest collection of these kinds of stories. And each story tells you a little bit more about how Walmart operates, what's wrong with the company, the subsidies they're going after, the way they're bullying communities to push their way in, the way they refuse to listen to neighbors who don't want a store that's 3 times the size of a football field across the street. You know, it's a collection of an unusual collection of stories, including what they do to people that they think are shoplifting, which is another show and another horror show. But it's got a lot of insight into why this company should be avoided.
Now, you've been fighting these guys for 20 years. Have you had any lawsuits or goons or anything like that? Or
actually, I right now I'm involved in a lawsuit in my community where we've been in court for 3.5 years because they're back a second time to try to get in, and I'm also being sued by another developer who is bringing in not a Walmart but a Whole Foods. I think that case will lead nowhere, but one of the risks of speaking out and being a citizen activist is that there are people who do these kinds of, they call them SLAPP suits,
right,
which stands for Strategic Litigation Against Public Participation. They're basically an attempt to brush you back from the case, scare you, intimidate you, and make you drop your case. I'm kind of hard to intimidate at this point. I've been doing it too long.
Yeah, I can tell. Now, do you take donations?
Sure.
Oh,
sure.
What's your PayPal?
Well, I don't have a PayPal, but if somebody wants to make a donation to Sprawl Busters, they should just email me, and I'll tell them how to do it. It's info@sprawl-busters.com. The website has my email. Just give me a call, and I'll tell you how to do it.
Al Norman, thank you so much. The author of Occupy Walmart, Slam Dunking Walmart, The Case Against Walmart, and SprawlBusters.com. Is that it?
That's it, sprawl-busters.com.
Sprawl-busters. I'm going to have a link to that on the blog as well. Brother,
Great.
Thank you so much. Okay, I really appreciate this. Anything you ever want to promote, you give me a call, okay? I'll bring you on anytime you want to come on, okay, man? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thanks for doing the show.
No, thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was our first guest tonight, Al Norman, who's this guy's a big shot, by the way, okay? He's been fighting Walmart for 20 years before anybody knew that Walmart was a problem, before it was just like a stupid little thing. So this guy, he's written the book on Walmart, 20-year activist, and you can see he's on the front line there, and they're attacking him with lawsuits and all kind of stuff as that as well. We're going to take a break, play some commercials, and then we're going to give a call to... what is her name here? Barbara Gertz. And she actually works for Walmart. And she's involved with this group called Our Walmart, Organization United for Respect. And she's been with that organization from the start. So she knows all the nitty-gritty about how Walmart treats their employees. And we're going to get into all that stuff, too. I want to hear about the stuff, how they treat the shoplifters as well. So, CJ, let's take a little break, and I'll try and pull in good old Barbara Gertz. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Hey, and don't forget the show's brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. You get yourself a free audio book. It's the deal of a lifetime. You go to audibletrial.com, Opperman Report. You sign up for free, you get a free audio book, and I think you can get a bunch of books for a month. Anyway, we just had with us tonight, we're doing a whole Walmart show, okay? And we had with us in the previous half hour, Al Norman, who's the author of Occupy Walmart, Slam Dunking Walmart, and The Case Against Walmart. And here's a guy who's been fighting Walmart for 20 years, okay? And we really want to thank him and support him for the work he's doing. But now we have Barbara Gertz, who's actually a current Walmart employee. And she's from Colorado, and she's with an organization called Our Walmart, Organization United for Respect. And her whole thing is that these Walmart employees are not treated with respect. So, Barbara, you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Barbara, thank you so much for coming on. I know it was the last minute, and you were a big help to me because I had to scramble at the last second. I thought tonight I was going to be doing a show about digging for buried treasure, okay, on Oak Island, but we had to scramble and do a Walmart show. So tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and then we'll get into the whole thing about how miserable it is to work for Walmart, okay?
Well, I have worked for Walmart for 6 years, and I have I work overnight stocking freight onto the shelves. I joined our Walmart 2 years ago after I felt like management was continually bullying myself and my coworkers, and that it was just really not a winnable situation as far as trying to stick up for yourself because you were always in the wrong. And I found this organization that I realized that it was not just me and my store, that this was something that was happening in stores across the nation, and it was not an isolated incident. And so I decided to join the organization to stand with other associates or workers to let Walmart know that we weren't going to put up with it anymore.
Well, what did you do before you went to work for Walmart?
I was a stay-at-home wife.
Okay. Mom too, or just a wife?
Just a wife.
Okay.
A stepmom.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay. And then you had to go to work, okay? So, and in your town, like, was it hard to find work, and that's why you wanted to go over at Walmart?
Well, I originally applied at Walmart because I thought that they were a family-oriented company and that there would be a chance for career advancement. I believed the things that they tell everybody else, and I had actually never heard anything, to the negative about it. And so, but I applied, and I was really excited when I first started.
Wow, so you had no clue.
No.
Oh my God. I feel bad for you. You went in there thinking this was a good deal. Oh my God. Okay, and that was only a couple of years ago.
Oh, 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
And I noticed right off the bat that something was different because I'm a little bit more observant than most people, I guess, and I would watch employees, and they would go all the way across the store to ask another worker a question rather than go 20 feet and ask a manager a question. And I mean, they would avoid management at all costs. And I thought it was really odd at first. And then I would try to talk to management, and they would look at me like I was crazy, like I was speaking another language. Like, why are you talking to me? Mm. And I actually had a manager at one point, say to me, like, Barb, when you see me, you don't have to ask me questions. So it was more like, speak to us when you're spoken to type of atmosphere. Which was strange for me because I felt like, okay, you're a manager, I'm an associate, but, we all have a job to do. We're all adults, don't we interact professionally? But not the case there, not at all.
One of the things I've done, I'm a private investigator, right? But I've also done some of that secret shopping stuff, because in Nevada you need a PI license to do that secret shopper. And we would do it at Walmart. And are you aware of all those little rules that you have, like the thing about the acknowledgement rule? If I come within 13 feet of you, you have to say hello to me.
10 feet. Yep.
Yeah, right. Now, why don't you describe some of those crazy rules?
But for customer service purposes, they say that any customer that comes within 10 feet of you, that you're supposed to acknowledge them. Either, can I help you find anything? How is your day? But we have to speak to them in some way if they're within 10 feet of us. Which is really crazy because as short-staffed as we are recently and continue to get worse, they've almost created an atmosphere where, workers try to stay 10 feet away from
right.
the customers because they get in trouble for not getting tasks done. And as much as we would love to help customers, they've created an atmosphere where we're afraid to help customers because we'll get in trouble for not getting our other work done.
Now, what would happen to you if you didn't say hello? If you got written up on that thing, you didn't say hello with the 10 feet thing, what would happen to you?
It just all depends on the mood they're in. You know, if it's a manager that, you know, they're looking for something to get you on, then you're going to get written up for it. Otherwise, they're not going to do anything.
They just ignore it, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty much they enforce it more as when they're trying to single an employee out.
Now, what would make them single out an employee for, like, a personal reasons or a?
Oh, pick a reason. I mean, it depends on the manager. I've heard stories with managers or like assistant managers that have joined our organization that are no longer with Walmart, and they have said that, you know, they would walk in for the beginning of their shift and they would be given the directive of pick an employee and write him up. Like
really?
they were just told they had to write so many employees up that day. And I almost, judging by the way I've seen them go through patterns of writing people up, I would have to almost believe it. Because a lot of times there's just no rhyme or reason to how they dole out their discipline to employees.
So now, when you've done other interviews, right?
Yes, I have. I've been on strike twice, and I've done civil disobedience twice.
Okay, so now, aren't you afraid of reprisals?
I mean, I'm sure it's always in the back of my mind, but the cause and the importance of getting Walmart to change is, I guess, of more importance to me than my job.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I totally agree. Because
if we don't change the way Walmart conducts business, we're not going to change our economy.
Yeah, because it does seem to be such a huge sap.
I think that they have more control of the economy than people really realize. And, you know, that's part of what our organization has been doing the past couple of years, is trying to educate people on, you know, how big of an impact Walmart has on not just their workers' lives, but our community's lives. And I'm sure that Al talked a little bit about that. I've read his book, and it's an awesome book. But yeah, if we don't change Walmart, our economy is not going to get better.
Well, what do you say to people who say to you, hey, you know, Barbara, you got a job. What are you complaining about? There's a lot of people that would love to have your job. There's a lot of people who don't have jobs on Thanksgiving Day. And Barbara, you're complaining about having to work.
Well, you know, having a job that you can't support your family off of, sorry.
Don't worry about that.
That you can't support your family off of, that you have to have government assistance on is not. So, I mean, it's. I know some people that would just rather stay on welfare because, I mean, they can't make it on Walmart wages. So,
you know, isn't it interesting that the same people that would say that, right? Hey, you know, you've got a job. A lot of people want that job, you know, are the same people who complain about families being on food stamps to feed hungry children. You know what I mean?
Well, and you know what's even more amazing than that is that, you know, everybody, the people who are asking me to justify why minimum wage should be raised,
yeah,
are the same people that don't question why, you know, most of America is dissatisfied with the performance of Congress, but yet they get a raise every year and nobody asks them to justify it. Nobody asks Mike Duke to justify how he gets bonuses, and an incredible salary, but yet, low-wage workers are asked to justify their wanting a raise, 3 times in 30 years?
Yeah, it's so true. We've been brainwashed in this country to hate the poor, to hate the working class, and to somehow identify with these billionaires as if, well, someday, Barbara, you and I, we can work hard and become billionaires as well, But when you look at these billionaires, like these 6 members of the Walton family who have 40% of this country's assets, they never worked a day in their life. They inherited that money. So unless, Barbara, you or I can somehow suddenly inherit, these billions of dollars,
well,
yeah.
I don't begrudge them what their father left them, but he left them a pretty decent bank account. So what I don't understand is why they feel the need to take what my father gave me, or left for me. It's like it's what they have isn't enough. They want what all of us have in addition to it.
That's excellent. They should be satisfied. You'd think they should be running like a bank robber,
Yeah.
Running like a thief. But they don't even pay the same rate of income tax that you as an employee of Walmart pays.
No, they don't. And then on top of that, their business itself is making hand over fist profit for us being on welfare. They're keeping their employees on welfare, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it is. So I was just talking to Al.
I don't think that most people realize that, the welfare to work program, they get up to $9,600 per employee that they hire that's on welfare.
Oh, get out of here. I didn't know about that at all. You're trying to tell me that.
Yeah.
So
And then on top of that, they don't ever take them off of welfare. And the same thing for vets. They get up to $9,600 for hiring vets. And all total, it's an estimated $38 million that they get in tax credits a year for hiring vets and people on welfare.
What, is that why they hire so many elderly people?
Actually, I've heard some people say that they've actually been trying to get rid of their elderly. No, the vets have to be within active duty within 6 months.
And they get a big chunk of money for hiring a vet that's been out of the military for 6 months.
Right.
Now, what about, we were talking off the air earlier today about the old story about how they would get that insurance policy. That the reason why when you walk into Walmart and you would see all these old people working there is because Walmart would have an insurance policy on their employees that when they died, Walmart would get the insurance money. Do you know if they're still doing that? Did you get a chance to look that up?
I do not know if they're still doing it. I have not heard that they've stopped doing it. And, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, recently their sales are down, and all of a sudden they absolutely have to change the dress code. And, they conveniently change the dress code to something that, we will offer that in apparel at an affordable price. So, and, they changed it within a month. So, workers had to conveniently buy their new work clothes where Walmart.
Wow. Wow, that is so obscene, man. I tell you. But just think of how predatory that is, that, you're going to hire old people and take out insurance. Who thinks of that, And then you're right. You're going to hire people and then tell them we're going to change your uniform and have to buy a new uniform from us.
And the crazy thing is, we had to start wearing vests, which I can understand the vests. They said they wanted customers to be able to identify workers easier. Okay, so I get the vest. But they totally changed the colors of what we wear. And so now the customers are really confused, and you can't really see it under the vest anyway, but they're trying to figure out, like, they changed it from like tan and navy blue to either tan and navy blue or white and black.
Oh,
and
brother.
so now the customers are trying to figure out, like, if there's a hierarchy by what color you're wearing. Like, is management wearing the white shirts, or are employees wearing white shirts? Or, so it didn't do anything to help the confusion of identifying a Walmart worker to the customers.
What else do they do to make money? Like, a lot of the people that work there, do they also shop there? Do they get their paycheck and they do their shopping there as well?
Well, sure, because, Walmart does have cheaper prices. Well, not always, but for the most part, and so workers, they can't afford to shop other places, so they shop at Walmart. And that,
a lot of people don't have a car.
Happened.
They don't have a car. They have to shop where they work.
And, I can tell you, it's a horrible thing when you have your coworkers sleeping in the parking lot. We had one girl one year that was, her and her husband were living in an RV in the parking lot, and the manager scheduled her for Christmas Eve, and she said, no, I don't want to work Christmas Eve. That's my day off. And he said, well, it's not, you live in the parking lot. It's not like you're going to not be here anyway.
Wow. Yeah, that's
so.
Yeah.
She's homeless, and he has to make that comment. It's too bad that you're living in an RV at Christmas time in our parking lot. He's like, well, you can work because you're not doing anything anyway. You'll be here.
Now that's interesting because Walmart does allow people with RVs to park and stay in their parking lots. Now, do you know how many of those people are employees? Because I always assumed they were just people traveling around.
I think it depends on the store. After speaking with workers from across the nation, I think it kind of just depends on location.
But you think some of those people are Walmart employees that are homeless living in the parking lot?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Wow. I never even considered that, So then, now, you work for Walmart, right? But
Mm-hmm.
do you think we'd be better off if Walmart didn't exist?
I think that Walmart has the potential to be one of the greatest employers in history. They very easily could turn our economy around and really provide good jobs and in a healthy economy, and it would not really cut into their profits that much at all. There was a study done that said if they raised their wages to $25,000 a year, that it would cost the customer an average of 46 cents more per visit, but it would increase the average employee's wages like $6,000 a year.
Wow, and can you imagine what a stimulus that would be to the local economy and to have all those workers?
And it increased their sales because, people are, where are employees it's easier to pick up milk at the store than stop at another store on your way home. So their employees would spend more money in the store. So it's a win-win for them.
Yeah, but if they did that, then they couldn't get the subsidies. They couldn't get the food stamps and stuff like that to subsidize their employees.
Right.
Because they wouldn't be under the threshold. So they would rather have the money come from the government rather than circulating through the economy.
Well, it's a guaranteed sale.
Yeah.
They know come the first of the month when people get their food stamps, so they're guaranteed so much sales. But, think about it. If they provided, Sam Walton said that every Walmart should reflect the values and visions of the communities that they're in. Okay? If Walmart actually did that, how many more customers would they have? You know, they could go into communities and communities wouldn't fight them. But, you know, communities fight them because of the jobs the poor jobs that they provide and at the cost they are to the community.
Yeah, they destroy local businesses. There's no doubt about that.
But they very easily could conduct their business. You know, I think they spend more money trying to be, you know, do things, you know, not by the book than by the book. For example, you know, a number of years ago, I think it was 2006, where the employee got trampled for Black Friday.
Right.
Okay. They have spent over $13 million in legal fees fighting a $5,000 fine.
Wow, really? Who was giving them the fine?
OSHA.
That's weird.
A $5,000 OSHA fine because they just don't want to admit they're wrong. Instead of just, you know, admitting they're wrong, it was a mistake, fix the mistake, and go on with it. They would rather put $13 million into fighting a $5,000 fine. That money could go towards employees and benefits.
You know, you kidding me? Ah, brother. Okay, so we're here tonight with Barbara Gertz. We're going to take a little commercial break and pay some bills here. But Barbara's with a group called Our Wal-Mart. Organization United for Respect. And what they're seeking is respect for Walmart workers. And we're going to be back with Barbara Gertz after this break. And we're going to be talking about her organization, also Black Friday and the strikes and the boycotts coming up. Before Barbara came on, we had Al Norman, who's the author of Occupy Walmart, Slam Dunking Walmart, and the Case Against Walmart. And you can go to my blog, The Opperman Report, and you can click on the links there, and you can pick up a copy of his book, because Al's been out there on the front lines for many, many years, 20 years, and we got to support his work and keep him out of trouble, you know, because you're facing big enemies here when you take on big companies like Walmart. Okay, so CJ, we'll take a little a commercial break, and we'll be right back with Barbara Gertz. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. And this show is brought to you by Audible.com. Hey, go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. You sign up, it's free. There's no reason not to go there. You go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. You go there, it's free. It's free to sign up. You get free audiobooks for a whole month. Then you cancel. Between you and me, we can just cancel. Okay, after the month, okay? But just go there and sign up, okay? Now, they're probably going to cancel me as a sponsor, but what are you going to do? Okay, we're live tonight on CJ Mars Radio, 365 Live, hazyradio.com. And we got some big announcements, okay? Tonight, 7 o'clock, when we start doing the after show, we have a whole bunch of really big announcements of what's going on with our show, new hosts that are coming to all our stations, stuff you're not going to believe, fun, games, and surprises. And that's in the after show tonight, 7 p.m., okay? So to be here at cjmarsradio.com, 365 Live. For the after show. So now we're here tonight with Barbara Gertz. She works for Walmart and has all kinds of horror stories, to tell you the truth, about what's going on there. So now, Barbara, what do you think now about average guy, right? He wants to buy toys for his kids. He wants to buy a present for his wife. And he thinks, hey, I'm going to go sit online out in front of Walmart because that's where the best deal is going to be on Black Friday.
I would say that he should think twice about how big of a deal he's getting at Walmart. The initial cost, yes, it may look less, but what he pays in supporting Walmart workers' welfare and what he pays, you know, Walmart's putting in stores and negotiating these deals with cities that think that they're going to get all of this extra income, and then Walmart's appealing their property taxes and taking like $300,000 a year from towns by, getting their property taxes reduced, which takes away from education and police and fire services. They negotiate deals so they don't have to pay sales tax to the city for like 12 years. So, are you really saving money on that toy? You're not.
Yeah, right. So people, it can't be that short-sighted. They got to look at the big picture, right? And they got to have discipline, because even myself, I shop at Walmart, and I know this stuff, and it just
and they've created an economy where we're almost forced to, because most of us can't afford not to shop there.
So they're turning the whole town into a company store, or I was saying with Al Norman tonight that they're turning into a plantation, where you shop at the company store. So now tell us about this organization. The organization, what's it called here? Organization United for Respect. So tell us about that and how it's growing and stuff like that, how you got involved with it, and what people can do to support it.
Well, I've been in the organization for 2 years, and before that there was under 100 workers across the nation that started the organization because they were tired of being bullied. They were tired of the way management treated them, and they were going to stand up for their rights. And they went down to Bentonville and tried to talk to Home Office. And, Home Office basically dismissed them. They couldn't even get any media to really, tell their story. And then people started hearing about the organization, and, more and more workers are getting fed up with the way they're treated. And so now, 2 years later, we went from like under 100 to literally thousands of workers across the nation. And Walmart continually tries to, they're still telling the same story about us to the press. They're saying that we're just a small group of disgruntled employees, and that we don't represent the majority of workers, which is not true. The majority of the workers are not happy, and although the reason they don't stand up is because they need a job. Even though it's not a good job, they need a job, and so they're afraid they'll get fired if they speak up. And you can see it very easily. Try to hand a Walmart worker a piece of paper of any kind, and they freak out because Walmart has these anti-union busting meetings, and they don't say you'll get fired, but they just strongly encourage you not to talk to anybody that might be union. Right. And so they're terrified that if you, as a customer, try to hand them something, that management will walk by and think that it has anything to do with union. And then you'll be retaliated against.
So now this group you're involved in here, the Organization United for Respect, our Walmart, it's not a union.
No, we are not a union. Walmart continually, they have put so much money into distracting the public in regard to our organization. It's amazing. We bring up issues and they say, well, they're union-backed. Well, we are union-backed. If it weren't for the UFCW, we wouldn't be able to stand up to Walmart because their pockets run deep and Walmart workers don't have the resources. If it weren't for the UFCW, the AFL-CIO, 9 to 5, Jobs with Justice, if it wasn't for all of these organizations that stand by us and help educate us, we wouldn't be able to stand up to our employer.
Right. And So, what does it cost you to become a member?
It's $5 a month, and however, the reality is that Walmart workers make so much money that a lot of the workers can't afford the $5 even. So basically, if you're active, you want to be part of the organization, we will allow you to, be active in the organization. We're not going to tell someone we're not going to help them stand up for their rights because they don't have $5.
Okay, great. Well, thank God for that. And what does the organization do? Like, how do they help you?
We educate workers on what their rights are, and we have the most incredible system of support. We use Facebook. We have a number of pages, and people post problems they're having online, and we will go to stores and do actions to support a worker. We've gotten people's jobs back. We've gotten hours. We've gotten people full-time status. We've gotten management to quit harassing people. Just recently on a national win, we got them to change their pregnancy policy to accommodate pregnant women's work restrictions more. We've gotten them to change their wage and hour, how they handle their scheduling, so that they provide more open shifts for people to pick up. So part-time workers are able to pick up shifts for extra money. But then the funny thing is that they will still continue to say it wasn't because of us.
Right.
And just recently, this week even, Corey, the head spokesperson for Walmart, was still trying to say that there were only 20 protesters last year that were workers. And they know that's not true. There were there was probably 20 workers from one store in California.
So do you think there's any hope of Walmart workers organizing and being able to sit out and get like $15 an hour?
I think, definitely. I think that Walmart workers need to, the more we get our story out, the more they see that, their coworkers are willing to stand up. It's really just a matter of time, because Walmart's best kept secret is that, they need their employees as much as their employees need them. Because without us, all they have is, they have a building and they have inventory, and they have nobody to get it out on the shelves. They have nobody to sell it for them. And I guarantee you Alice Walton is not going to go into her store to sell it. So
yeah, I can bet that. But don't you think
need it?
But wouldn't there a point of view be that, these are easily replaced workers?
Well, what would happen if all 1.3 million associates stood up for their rights and they walked out on strike?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they would have to deal with that. Yeah.
I guarantee you. Well, and here's a perfect example. Last year at this time, actually in October, there's a store in Hialeah, Florida. It had nothing to do with our Walmart. It had no union backing, no labor organization backing. And this store, the workers were tired of being bullied. They're tired of crappy schedules. They were just tired of management harassing them. And so 120 of them walked off the job at once. And the next day, Bentonville had flown down there. Everybody got their job back. Coachings were removed. Full-time status was offered to anybody who wanted it. Raises were given, and the manager was fired. So if they would do that for one store, can you imagine if all of us walked off for our rights?
Yeah, it would be great. We just had a comment in one of the chat rooms that the person said, I had no idea that Walmart was like that. Because a lot of people think that Walmart is like a Christian family-owned business, and that's their perception.
Do you know that up until the beginning of this past summer, I had never seen a Walmart commercial where they are actually selling product.
Oh, that's interesting.
Every Walmart commercial I have ever seen in the 6 years of my employment has always been telling the public what a great employer and what wonderful pathway to advancement, career advancement they offer their employees. I've never seen them sell their product until this past summer.
That's fascinating. And whenever you see them in the news, all you see is, hey, look at this. People are waiting online to get these great deals, and the doors are opening up, and they're rushing in to get these great deals. Oh, and people think, well, wait, I want to go do that, rather than thinking, hey, I want to fight for my own self-interests and the interests of my family and my friends and my neighbors and stuff like that, and put this company out of business so that I can have my own business and sell my own flowers and have a card shop or a flower shop or a bakery or an auto parts store, that Walmart has taken over all of these small businesses and put it under one big giant building for free, practically, because the city pays to set up the whole thing for them, and then they don't have to pay their employees because the government's paying for them, and food stamps and welfare. Like I had no even idea about that thing we were talking about with the how the welfare to work program is basically a Walmart program.
It's horrible. I mean, just, and I just recently actually got a copy of Al's book, and I have to tell you, there are a couple things in his book that even, being on the campaign for several years that I didn't even know. And it was like a whole new level of disgust for my employer.
Now, what about Kmart and Target and those kind of places? Is it the same deal? Are they as bad? What's going on with that?
I don't know about Kmart. I do know that, Target is adapting a lot of Walmart's poor business practices. They have to stay competitive, and, so they cut costs the same way Walmart does by, not offering full-time positions. And, I want to point out that, when I was in high school, which I'm 46 years old, so, a number of years ago, the same jobs that we are referring to as low-wage jobs are jobs that, I wouldn't make it rich, but you could, with a double income, you could buy a small house in a rural neighborhood.
Right.
And have two cars, and you didn't have a lot left over, but you could support your family and grow old together. And that's those jobs now are low wage jobs that people have to have two full-time jobs in order to live. And we're talking about why do they want to raise? Well, these low-wage jobs used to not be low-wage jobs. They used to be, just I can make it jobs. But so, it's just strange how the whole conversation has flipped. It should be, why aren't they paying as good?
Right. Yeah, it's so true. And then they say, well, they'll raise the prices of their goods. They're just going to pass along that increase to you. But the thing is, well, if we were all making more money, who cares? The problem is that all of this money is going to 6 people.
Well, and in Seattle, they raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Right.
And do you know that, even the small business owners that were worried that they would go out of business are now, the same business owners are saying that actually, where they're almost getting ready to close up shop, they have been hiring new employees to keep up with the increased business because people have more money in their pockets, and it's they're spending money, putting it back in the economy. And so their job growth is headed upwards, and their economy is starting to grow again.
Okay.
So that's a lie that, prices will go up and it won't matter.
Okay, this is so true. If you're working paycheck to paycheck, okay, that means when you get your paycheck, you spend the whole thing. Okay, we all do. Let's face it. Okay, that money gets recirculated in the economy. So if you increase that paycheck, it increases the circulation in the local economy. Whereas if you increase it for these 6 Walton family members, okay, wherever the hell they live and what they're doing, all it's going into is just a
bank account.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's sitting in a bank account or in dividends from stocks or whatever. There's no labor. They're not working for any of that money. People are so upset that there's somehow poor people that are not working for their money, where the people we have to worry about who are not working for their money are these obscenely rich, these obscenely morbidly rich people, okay, that do not work, that are a leech on the economy, that are siphoning off the money from a corporation. When you have a corporation, a business, where the workers are working, okay, to produce let's say it's a factory. They're producing products to be sold on the open market. But then you have this person, this entity called a stockholder that does no work at all but is siphoning off the profits from that company. That's the one we have to get rid of. That's the one.
Yeah. It used to be people would get a job at a company and they might switch businesses, jobs like once or twice, but they still, they were dedicated to their employer, and as the company grew, everybody in the company moved forward. Of course the boss made more.
Yeah.
That's just the way things work, and nobody had a problem with that. I don't have a problem with them being as rich as they are, but I do have a problem with the fact that, the company is getting bigger and more profitable, but the workers are getting poorer. Does that we should be moving forward along with the company. And, the Waltons just don't see it that way.
No, you have 6 people that have now 40% of this country's wealth or assets, and that grows every year, because just a couple of years ago it was 30%, and now it's 40%. Hey, somebody has their mic open, CJ or Scott? Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, we had one more question.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think that people realize how much $1 billion is,
Yeah.
and it's 1,000 millions. Okay, so you have 1,000 millions. They are worth $153 billion.
Yeah, right.
That. When you start thinking about it, people just don't understand how much $1 billion is. When you really think about it that way, it's just crazy that they can't, pay their workers a living wage. We're not asking for $50 an hour. We're just asking to be able to support our families.
Oh, no. You're asking too much. Okay? Because these 6 people, 6 Walton heirs, who have never worked a day in their life, have 40% of it. So 6 people equal 175 million people. Okay? It's 175 million to 6 as far as assets and wealth. Now, these 6 people got to share, and, we can ask them nice, and not only that too, but these 6 people, again, do not pay the same rate of taxes that Barbara Gertz pays. Barbara Gertz pays a higher percentage of tax on her income than those 6 people do. Okay, which is again outrageous. And one of those 6 has a whole bunch of DUIs. Okay, are you familiar with that story, Barbara?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about, why is this woman not under the jail? Tell us about this, Barbara.
Well, that's a good question. it's amazing because she has money. I mean, she has enough money to buy a chauffeur. I don't know why, she couldn't get a chauffeur instead of drive drunk, but
or have the booze delivered to her house, so she doesn't have to leave her house to get it. She has a Walmart.
And it's amazing to me that they have workers that are homeless and hungry, and they proudly announce that their contribution to society, their gift back to society, is an art museum. Why not have your give back to society be us not having to pay for your workers' welfare? I would much rather have that for a gift.
You know what? That's so true. It is just criminally outrageous. I can't, and another thing too is about if the average working person, it gets a DUI. And it's really easy to get one. You can go out to dinner, have 2 bottles of wine, with you and your date, a bottle and a half, and you get in your car, you're going to be over that 0.8. I see it all the time because I do a lot of criminal defense work. But the average person gets that DUI, and their life is turned upside down. They can't drive for 6 months. They lose their job. Then they go there, they drive without a license. They get pulled over again. It's a 30-day mandatory jail sentence. Now they've lost their job. They've lost their home, and they can't pay the fines. They can't pay the classes they got to take. They can't pay the lawyer. So their life is devastated over this stupid little DUI. Now, when you have
where it's nothing for rich people.
Right, but it should be, okay? Just because the cop will say, well, you know what, maybe this will be a wake-up call for you. Now you get your straighten yourself out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but then these billionaires and these millionaires need that same wake-up call. Just like there's a sliding scale in the tax rate where supposedly the rich are supposed to pay a higher percentage in tax. You'd think that would be reasonable, but no. In this country, they pay less tax than us. But how they get away with that? Why we're not, if they sold torches at Walmart, okay, I'd go buy the torches and we go burn down their homes. Okay, but they don't, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been told in Germany that they do they assess fines to their citizens on a percentage. So that it hurts a rich person's pocket as much as it affects a low wage person's pocket.
Exactly.
So it's equal. The fine is equal. Where in here it's the same fine, but the same fine makes one person homeless and the other person doesn't even think about it. Where in Germany, it hurts everybody the same way.
Thank you, Barbara. That's exactly the point I was trying to make. I'm glad that I got it across. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take another little break here, for a little commercial break. We'll be right back with Barbara Gertz, who's a really great guest, man. I really appreciate you. Barbara, by the way, just came on board a couple hours before the show started. Okay, I begged her to go on, and she wasn't expecting this. So I really thank you, Barbara, for helping me out today. We had a last-minute scramble. She's with an organization called Organization United for Respect. Now, that's the least we can ask for in life, is to be treated with respect. We should respect each other in everything we do. Organization United for Respect, our Walmart, okay? And they need donations. They need our support. They need volunteers to go out and work the picket lines with them and stuff like that. So we'll be right back after this a little break here with Barbara Gertz from our Walmart, Organization United for Respect. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. This show is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/Opperman Report. And sign up for free. Get yourself a free audiobook. Tonight we're live on CJMarsRadio.com, 365 Live, HazyRadio.com, and throughout the week, all the usual stations we're on. Got some big announcements coming up. I'm going to hit you up with at the beginning of the after show. We had first author Al Norman, the author of Occupy Wal-Mart, Slam Dunking Wal-Mart, The Case Against Wal-Mart. And now we're with an actual Wal-Mart foot soldier in the trenches over there, fighting Walmart from the inside. Barbara Gertz from Colorado. And she's from an organization called Our United, or Our Walmart, Organization United for Respect. So why don't you give us an idea about Black Friday and stuff like that, what we should be doing this Black Friday instead of waiting there for a flat screen TV?
Well, last year we had protests at 1,448 stores, and this year, so far, we are at about 1,600 stores across the U.S., and our goal is to, really get people out in numbers, not only workers, but our communities, to really show Walmart that, we want them to change, that we disapprove of the effects they're having on our communities and the jobs that they're providing for our communities. And what you can do if you are interested in coming out and showing your support is you can go to blackfridayprotests.org, and it will show you where the protests are in your area. And if there aren't any, there's also like instructions on like how you can get involved or how, what you can do to let Walmart know that you support their workers.
Yeah, and there's a couple of websites, and they're pretty easy to find. If you just put in a Black Friday boycott, it'll come right up, or Walmart 1%, or all that kind of stuff, or I hate Walmart. Walmart is no good. Because, you put in all these key phrases and they pop right up. There's 2 or 3 of them up there, and they're organizing these demonstrations. Now, you said there's going to be 1,600 stores. How many stores do they have, though? What's the percentage?
Walmart has 4,900 stores. And I will say, like last month, where again we started out as less than 100 workers started this movement. We did a petition last month for calling on Walmart to raise our wages to $15 an hour and to give us consistent full-time hours. And in less than a month, we had workers from 2,100 stores sign that petition.
Okay, so, but that's not bad. If you have 1,600 stores that are going to be picketed, right, or demonstrations, out of 4,000, that's not bad at all. That's almost 25%, right?
Yes, that's no longer a few disgruntled employees.
Yeah. Okay, that's encouraging. That's encouraging very much, because I know here in Vegas, there's only one location. It's on the eastern location, on Eastern Avenue, up in North Las Vegas. And there's only one of them out here that we're having a protest, but I'd like to see more. And me and my... yeah, go ahead.
Again, you have to remember, I would say for every one worker that you see out protesting, there's probably 10 to 20 workers in their store that support them but are too scared to speak up.
Of course, but I would hope to see people that don't work there who just care about their community and care about their pocket and their paycheck and their taxes would be out there demonstrating and getting this information out there. So I would really encourage my audience, which is the big site you talked about. It was called Boycott Black Friday?
BlackFridayProtests.org.
Yeah, BlackFridayProtests.org. We'll have that link up on the Opperman Report blog as well. Okay,
and I'll tell you, it really means a lot to us to have our community show up. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you like how far knowing that you guys support us and showing Walmart that you support us means to us.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could just imagine because, even when you walk into a Walmart, the employees just look so depressed and just down,
And, it didn't used to be, in 6 years I have worked there. I mean, it went from workers used to laugh and joke around, the customers would join in. It was a fairly fun place to work. And now it's like you don't want to be seen laughing because you'll get in trouble for not working. And, I mean, it's just, it's the culture that they've created.
You know what?
They're just afraid to.
Yeah, now that you mention that, because 7 years ago I lived right by one of those small Walmart supermarkets, and I was in there almost every day, and the prices were way cheaper back then too. And you're right, it was much more friendly. You got to know the people, and now you walk into these places and forget it. Everyone just has this big scowl on their face.
Well, I know workers that will meet. There's a group of ladies that I know that meet in their store every day, and that they work together and they pray together before they punch in, because they pray that they won't be the target of management's wrath that day. Now that's really sad when you have to show up for work and pray with your coworkers that you won't be the one that they single out to harass that day.
Well, then, I would encourage everybody, because, we have a really good Christian audience here, definitely for sure. And I would encourage everybody to pray for these workers, and join in prayer, because when you have something this big and this evil, we need to join together in prayer, to fight back against it. Now, what about, we were talking before too about because especially Al was saying about how Walmart treats their shoplifters. What's going on with that?
That I haven't heard. I know that, along with employee cutbacks, that, they've been cutting back on, security. We've had really a huge problem with shoplifting in our store. But I know that if they go outside the store, that, we can't touch them or talk to them or.
Well, let me ask you this, because everything Walmart does is for the money. Why would they allow that? They must have an ulterior motive,
I could not tell you. It's crazy.
I guess they figure if all their, that's like their worker pool, is so broke that they have to shoplift, that if they get busted, then they can't come in and get a job and work for them as slave labor, right?
Something. Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I know, that the amount of shoplifters we have at Walmart is it's obscene.
Yeah, what is the big scam? Where not only do they first shoplift there, but then they go to the return counter and return it?
Yep.
Okay. So
they steal it and return it.
They steal and they return it without the receipt?
Yep, for a gift card.
What was that?
They'll return it for a gift, and then they don't get cash back, but they get a gift card.
They get a gift card, and then they can spend it on, I guess, food and stuff like that, or maybe go to the liquor aisle and buy a little liquor, right? Now, over there in Colorado, Walmart sells liquor there, right?
Just beer.
Okay, just beer. Okay, because over here in Vegas, they're allowed to sell spirits and beer and stuff like that, and wine and hard liquor. Yeah.
Wow, and Walmart does sell that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, over here in Vegas, they sell in the supermarkets and stuff like that. See, back in New York, you couldn't do that. To me, I find that amusing, because they won't sell lottery tickets in the store because they're supposed to be family-oriented store, but then they'll sell liquor. Well, here in Vegas, they can't sell lottery tickets because the casinos don't want anybody spending any gambling money outside of the casinos. So we don't have a state lottery here in Nevada.
Ah, okay.
Everything's a racket, Now, people in chat, they're asking about, do you expect any kind of blowback when you go to work tomorrow, or when the next day you go back to work? Do you expect any kind of harassment or any kind of problems?
Well, I am within my federal rights of speaking out.
Right.
Walmart has retaliated against strikers before. We're actually right now in federal court, because the NLRB ruled against Walmart and said that they illegally fired some strikers, and so they're going through that court case right now. So there's always a chance that they could retaliate against me, but it's not about me. It's about a bigger picture. And if we don't change Walmart, if we don't hold them accountable for their actions, our economy is just not going to improve. They really they're a large part of why our economy is the way it is right now. And so, I guess I see it as, it's not just my job, it's everybody's job.
Yeah, right, because right now Walmart is the country's number one employer. They employ more people than any other industry or business.
Right, and businesses are modeling their businesses after Walmart. And if Walmart is only hiring part-time jobs, then that's what other businesses are going to do. So if we change the way Walmart does its business, we change the economy.
You know what? That's really important to bring up too as well, because when I was looking for guests today, I went on Amazon.com and I said, well, let me find, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like Walmart, who wrote books about it. Let me see what I can find as a guest. But the majority of the books were saying, this is how to follow Walmart's business model and business plan to create wealth. So they're telling people, people are copying this predatory business model.
Right. And, I guess I would ask your listeners also that, going into Black Friday, to please keep in mind as they hear things against my organization. Walmart's favorite thing to say is that we're paid protesters, and that, there's hardly any workers that are out there, that we are not paid protesters, that we are workers, and the other people that are there are our community. It's our community that came to support us because they see the effect that Walmart's having. So even, it's like everybody hates Walmart, but then Walmart makes a media statement and everybody believes them for some reason.
Because they're big advertisers. They advertise.
Right.
So that's a big influence on these local news outlets and stuff.
So when your friends say, "Oh, those are just paid protesters," no, we're not. We are Walmart workers, and we are standing up for our rights.
And you almost always see those picketers out in front of Walmarts all over town, and they almost fade into the background, because just walking back and forth with those signs, and you almost forget they're there.
Well, Walmart sees us as big enough of a threat that in numerous states they've actually gotten injunctions so that the community can't protest on their property.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Because first you've seen them, they're like right on the sidewalk, but now you see them like around the corner. They have to be
right.
Yeah, right. It's okay. Well,
so in other words, if you're a Walmart customer and you strongly disagree with something that Walmart does, you have to go to the sidewalk to complain, or you could be arrested.
Wow. So even if you've done business with Walmart, you can't complain on the property.
Well, you can in several states. It's
right.
Anybody that is an ally of our Walmart.
Yeah.
So if you're sticking up for the rights of their workers, you're not allowed on their property. Like in California, Florida, Colorado, Arkansas, and I believe Texas.
Let me ask you this now: when Walmart pays you your paycheck, right? Do they give you a physical check, or do they do a direct deposit?
No, they don't allow you to get a physical check. If you don't have a bank account, which most low-wage workers don't,
right?
Then they issue you a debit card, and they deposit it into basically their bank account.
Wow. Okay, so now, is there a fee for that debit card?
If you don't go to a Walmart to pull money out, yeah.
Wow. Because I was assuming that they would give you a paycheck and then force you to go to that little check cashing place they have over there, and then get a cut of that. It's just amazing.
No, they did away with that. They won't give you if you don't provide them with bank account information, you won't get a check.
Wow. And otherwise, then they give you, because now they're in the banking business as well, and they're doing
right.
It's just amazing how they're taking over every single industry. And even years ago, I was predicting right before this big real estate crash that we were going to have a real estate crash, and a big company like Walmart was going to come in and buy up all the housing, and we'd all be renting our homes. The average American would not be owning a home any longer. We would have to rent from a big giant company like Walmart. And
I've often wondered how much real estate they actually own. It would be interesting to find out. It wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that they own a ton of low income apartment buildings.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. Oh boy. So, but what do you think though? You're there in the trenches. Do you feel encouraged, or do you think that it's a hopeless situation?
I think since I have joined this organization, before I joined this organization, I had been to the hospital twice, thinking I was having a heart attack, to find out that I was having anxiety attacks. And this is not just me. This is a normal conversation that you can have with just about any employee from a store at any store across the nation. And since I have joined our Walmart, I have learned my rights, and I know that I have coworkers that support me, and it's really an amazing organization for the workers as far as support and education goes. And I think that we will change it, yes.
Hey, people in the chat are asking about if they directly deposit your funds or your pay into this debit card or whatever. What do they put like hours? How do you know when your hours worked are and your taxes and what they're withholding, all that kind of stuff?
You can go online at work and pull up your check, or you can pull it up at home on a computer if you have internet.
So if you don't, you're just out of luck.
And then, of course, you never have time very rarely do you have time to do it at work. So it's crazy. Most workers don't ever see their pay stub.
And so they could be ripping you off there too as well for hours, and all kind of stuff. Yeah. And I've right from the start, I was told from other employees to make sure that you always, write your hours down and keep track of it, because they are known to short hours. Yeah, people think that big companies won't do that, but back when I had a beeper and cellular phone company, and we had big contracts with these big long distance companies, and these big giant companies like MCI, 9X, these big giant companies would rip you off left and right, man, with the accounting stuff like that. Just left, you'd stand on top of them 24 hours a day, keep on watching what they were doing.
And they do things too, like, they say, okay, no overtime. And then in the same breath, they'll say, but you can't leave until your work is done. Okay, so what does that imply? Does that, if I'm not allowed overtime and, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired because I've been given this unrealistic amount of work to accomplish, and now I'm told I can't leave. So, they don't come right out and say it, but, so workers are stressed out. Like, they'll punch out and finish their job, so, because they're afraid they're going to get fired off the clock.
But you don't get paid any extra time and a half or anything like that. That's like impossible, right? Overtime, impossible.
No, if you have overtime, if you say, you work Sunday through Friday or through Thursday, and on, say, Tuesday, they see that you are accumulating what will be overtime at the end of the week, they will make you take a long lunch to burn those hours up.
Yeah, they got it down to a science, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, as a Walmart worker, what would you ask the public to do to help you out and get you out of this mess?
We really want just to show Walmart this Black Friday that that this is not just a worker movement, that this is our communities are tired of the way they treat their workers and conduct business. And we want to just show a huge show of force. So if people would come out and support us at our protests, that would be huge. And, it's only like an hour to a couple hours long. And it's like Friday morning. And it would be a huge help.
Yeah, if everybody can get together on this, we all know that Walmart is not in our best interest. But I don't think people realize how bad it really is, where all of our money, these 175 million people that have equal assets to these 6 people, if all those 175 million people were to stand up and say, well, I'm not going to shop in Walmart anymore because they have all my money. These 6 people have my money, and I'm giving them more money. So I'm just going to stop giving them, if we could just get even 10% of that, just 17 million people to stop shopping at Walmart. It doesn't take a lot. We could turn this around.
Even for one day, yeah.
Oh my God, we could turn this around.
Well, I've been asked numerous times, Walmart, they're too big of a company. You don't actually think you're going to beat them, do you? And I tell them yes, because statistically speaking, we will win because Walmart is one corporation. We are 1.3 million employees, our families, and our communities. It's, statistically, we have already won. It's just not, it's a matter of when, not if.
Hey, I got a question here, man, from a regular caller, contributor, Mark. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Mark. Okay, but he says that he had a friend who was a Walmart employee and that he had to watch an anti-union documentary as part of training.
Yes, they do have an anti-union. And then if they show any our Walmart activity in the store, they actually fly a team in from Bentonville, and they take us in small groups into personnel, and they tell us, they scare workers. They tell them that our Walmart is not Walmart, and they can't do anything for you, and they'll show up at your doorstep, and they don't know how they get your address, and they're going to ask you for money, and they're going to want your bank account information. So, that's scary. Think about it. As a worker, that sounds scary. Who are these, faceless people that are going to show up at my doorstep wanting my money and bank account information? So, they don't say you can't join our Walmart. They just terrify them with false claims.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, listen, the end of the show kind of snuck up on me here. So I want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to leave us with in the next couple of minutes here, the next couple of seconds, actually?
I just want to thank everybody for listening, and, I hope that we will see you out at the Black Friday protests, because it's not just the workers, it's for our communities.
Thank you very much, Barbara Gertz from Our Walmart, Organization for Respect. What is this thing called? Organization United for Respect, okay? And you look at Black Friday protests and Black Friday boycott, and you can find out all kind of details on how to boycott Walmart come up this Black Friday. So we're going to be dropping Hazy Radio. Thank you, Scott Hare. Thank you, Zeta. Got some big announcements coming up for the after show. So I want to say goodnight to Scott and thank him for producing for me. And I want to thank Barbara Gertz for coming on here. We're going to take a little break. And I'll continue with the after show when we have Joshua Brookshire's calling in, and hopefully Mike Bluehair's calling in. We got a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about, big announcements coming up, and we'll get to that in a little while here. But thank you, Barbara Gertz, so much for coming on tonight at the last minute, and your group, OurWalMart.com, I guess, right? Is that it?
Our Walmart. Yep.
Okay.
It's for respect. Or you can go to blackfridayprotest.org.
Okay, and both of those links are going to be up on the Opperman Report blog by the end of the night, okay? So thank you, Barbara.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll take a little commercial break here, and we'll be right back after this.